Well, I'm going to have to start by patting myself on the back here, because not only did what I predict happen, but it happened exactly as I predicted it would happen. And that, of course, is the stock freefall of Donald Trump's Trump Media and Technology Group. Now, the only thing I didn't predict correctly was how quickly this would happen, right? I said over the next 6 months, but what I really should have said was over the next 6 days. A couple days ago, I did in fact do a segment talking about how Donald Trump's shares of Trump Media and Technology, even though they were surging last week, I said it's not going to last, because eventually the value of that stock is going to be tied directly to the performance, the revenue of Truth Social, which is the only living entity of Trump Media and Technology. So however much money it makes or loses, the stock price in the future is going to be based on that. What happened on Monday is that a new report came out showing that the financials of Truth Social were far worse than anybody thought. It actually lost $58 million last year. Previous estimates had it losing $33 million, and those were apparently way off by $25 million, and it did lose $58 million. And after that news came out, the stock lost 15% of its value, and Donald Trump's shares plummeted. He lost $2 billion, basically. $2 billion in one day, because the value of that stock plummeted so quickly. So the big question is, why was it up last week at all? Well, I did explain that, and I've got a little bit more information to kind of bolster what I said last week. See, what happened is that when you have an IPO, an initial public offering, typically people immediately buy in, and that will artificially increase the stock price for a short amount of time, usually weeks or a few months, but in the case of Truth Social, just a couple days. Because what happened was you had a lot of investors that are now actually speaking to the media that have said, yeah, I went in, I dumped 10,000 into DJT stock, or I dumped 50,000 into it because I knew, this is a direct quote, I invested $10,000 last Tuesday because MAGA is crazy and they will pump the stock. But these investors, knowing that throughout the week it was going to go up, and there's many of them who did this, they knew that they could buy in first thing on Tuesday when it came out, and then they all sold on Friday. And they made hundreds of thousands of dollars because they were right. The MAGA freaks out there took what little investment money they had, they pumped up the stock, and this is what's called, by the way, a pump and dump. You get all of these early investors, they come in, suddenly the stock price keeps going up, so other people come in like, oh wow, this stock has taken off. But then those first people, once they've pumped it, they dump it. And once the dumping starts, it doesn't end. So what we saw Monday was not just a reaction to that report showing that it had lost $58 million. It was also the reaction to all those very early, couple days ago investors dumping their stock. So once everybody sees, oh crap, everybody else is selling, I gotta sell, that's gonna lower the price. I don't see how they recover from this. Donald Trump has lost $2 billion this week, literally in a matter of hours. And the only way he can get that money back or retain the value that he already has in it is if Truth Social can show some kind of revenue model to investors to give them faith that, hey, we're going to be okay. This company is going to do just fine. And they can't do that. They have no revenue models. They have no growth plans. They have nothing in the pipeline that would suggest to investors that things are going to turn around. Because all of the available data shows that things are actually worse for that company this year than they were last year. They're losing users. They don't even have 1 million active monthly users. And the platform is, as I said last week, effectively worthless. And if this trend continues, it will also be financially worthless long before Donald Trump is able to sell any of his stock.